It's me, Adam Baumer, with my co-host Ewan McLean, and we would like to invite you guys all to watch the 2023 Ken Dunn East Coast Championship final session for the third day.
We have a great session of events on the menu tonight, starting off with a 200 backstroke, and then followed by a 50 breaststroke, 100-meter butterfly, 400 freestyle, and then we're going to wrap it up with a 400-meter medley relay. Hitting the water right now is the women's 200-meter backstroke, 12 and under A final.
In lane 1, we have Emma Laycock with the Halifax Trojans. Lane 2 is Rowan LeBlanc from Swim Ottawa. Lane 3 is Jaden Higgins from Wolfville Tritons. Lane 4, oh my goodness, I was reading the wrong page. Lane 1 is Maddie Leha from St. John's Legends. Lane 2 is Macy Larrabee from the Aces. Lane 3 is Harlow LeBlanc from St. John's Legends. Lane 4 is Helena Tripp from the Cape Breton Morenos. Lane 5 is Mary Ellen Holland from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 6 is Maggie Schmidt-Stutzman from the Cape Breton KBM. Lane 7 is Rowan LeBlanc from Swim Ottawa, and in lane 8 is Gwyneth Hall from Swim Ottawa.
At the 100-meter mark, it is Helena Tripp from the Kingston Blue Marlins at a 1:16.74 with the lead. But it is a tight race here, folks, and anything can happen in the second half.
It does look like Helena Tripp is pulling away with a healthy lead. It's looking like Helena still has a lead with lanes 3, Harlow LeBlanc, and lane 5, Mary Ellen Holland, all close together for coming in second and third. But it's still anyone's race here, Ewan. It does look like Helena Tripp is going to be touching in very soon. She's going to touch in with a time of 2:34.27 unofficially. Coming in second is going to be Mary Ellen Holland with a time of 2:41.7 unofficially. Coming in third is Harlow LeBlanc with a time of 2:42.97.
A very fast heat of racing there, Adam, and a great way to set the tone for much more racing to come tonight. Up next is the women's 13-14 A final for the 200-meter backstroke.
The times on the board are now official. Next up, we have women's 13-14 A final for the 200-meter backstroke.
In lane 1 from Swim Ottawa, Addison Smith. In lane 2 from the Kingston Blue Marlins, Reagan Chesney. In lane 3 from the St. John's Legends, Alexander Campbell. Lane 4 from the Aces, Mia Tomic. Lane 5 from the St. John's Legends, Callie Simmons. In lane 6 from the Halifax Trojans, Marnie Bishop. Lane 7 also from the Trojans, Avery Stade. And in lane 8 from the Greenwood Dolphins Swim Club, Abby Bond. I would like to take a quick minute to recognize some of our medalists we saw last night in the 400-meter freestyle relay for the women's 12 and under category. Taking bronze was the Halifax Trojans B team, silver was the Trojans A team, and taking the gold in the women's 12 and under 400 freestyle relay was the St. John's Legends A team.
It's looking like our lane 4 swimmer, Mia Tomic from the Aces, is taking a healthy lead.
She's looking very strong
Followed closely by the rest of the pack. It's really anyone's game right now for second and third. It's looking like Mia Tomic's going to touch in with a time of 109.21. That's a very good time for a first split.
Very strong opening 100 there. Comfortable lead over the rest of the field, but 116 there from Callie Simmons in lane 5 is a very quick pace as well. It'll be interesting to see how this one unfolds. The medalists for the men's 13 and under 400 freestyle relay. In third, the Halifax Trojans. In second, the Wilmot Aquatic Aces, and taking the gold is Swim Ottawa. For the women's 13 to 14 400 freestyle relay.
It's loading.
Taking bronze is the Toronto Swim Club. Silver goes to the Wilmot Aquatic Aces and the Kingston Blue Marlins, were your 13 to 14 women's 400 freestyle relay gold medalists. For the men's 14 to 15 400 freestyle relay, in third place was Swim Ottawa. Second place was the Mount Pearl Marlins, and taking the gold is the Wilmot Aquatic Aces. But right now in the pool, Mia Tomic has 15 meters to go, and she is still looking very strong here in this 200-meter backstroke event. Here comes Tomic for the finish in lane 4 with a 2:22.95.
That is a 5-second drop from her morning time.
Massive improvement from the morning, and an improvement from a time that was already very quick to begin with. She looks very happy with that one. Touching second in lane 5, Callie Simmons from the Legends with a 2:34.71. Also a near 5-second improvement from the morning.
And lane 3 is Alexandra Campbell touching in with a time of 2:39.27. Alexandra's from St. John's Legends as well.
We saw improvements across the board there from the top 3 finishers. Again, these first few heats are really setting the tone for what is bound to be a very fast and competitive night of racing here at day 3 of the Ken Dunn East Coast Championships.
Next up, we have the women's 15 and over A finalists for the women's 200-meter backstroke. Madam Referee. In lane 1, we have Sophia Dean from the Crusaders. Lane 2 is Isabella Chimaru from Swim Ottawa. Lane 3 is Abby Andrews from Mount Pearl Marlins. Lane 4 is Aaliyah Bloom from the Crusaders. Lane 5 is Isabel Mallinson from the Nova Scotia Blue Nose Masters. Lane 6 is Gwen Kresge from Swim Ottawa. Lane 7 is Kira Scott from Toro Centurion. And lane 8 is Clara Darling from the Halifax Trojans. This is looking like a much closer race than last. It's looking like lanes 4 and 5, that's Abby Andrews and Aaliyah Bloom and Isabel Mellinson are both taking the lead, but it does look like Abby Andrews is pulling ahead just slightly. And it's looking like the rest of the pack is a very, very even race. It's looking like Aaliyah Bloom is touching in with a time with a 109.27, followed then by lane 5's Isabel Mallinson with a time of 111.89, followed by lane 6 Gwen Kresge with a time of 1:13.35. This is a very close race, Ewan.
Very close race, very impressive pacer from Bloom. In lane 5, Melanson is a swimmer who's competed in freestyle and backstroke events at both an AUS and U Sport level. So for Bloom to be hanging even and even have a slight lead here over Melanson is a terrific swim for the 16-year-old Bloom from the Crusaders. It is still Bloom at the 150 mark in a 1:45.32. Looks like she's really stretched out her lead here with 50 meters to go.
Yeah, she's got about a 5-second lead on the rest of the swimmers.
To go. Bloom is picking up the rate here into the finish. What is her time going to be? And it is a 2:20.9.
That is a crazy time. She dropped 4 seconds from her previous time.
Very fast. You can hear her teammates with a big round of applause there. I'm sure
coming in second is lane 5's Isabel Mallinson with a time of 2:28.64, and lane 6 comes in third. That's Gwen Kresge from Swim Ottawa with a time of 2:28.85.
Very close heat there. The range of times from second all the way back to fourth was just about a second. Very competitive heat of swimming there. Up next, we have the best of the rest heat for the women's 200-meter backstroke. The board is not yet official, folks, but we are going to be moving right along to this best of the rest heat here. From the Halifax Trojans, Katrina Brezovin. In lane 2 from Rock Swimming, Miley Hollingworth. In lane 3 from the Trojans, Charlotte Evans. Lane 4 also from the Trojans, Madeline Bakey. In lane 5 from Swim Ottawa, Isla Pulsifer. Lane 5 from the Swim Ottawa, Danielle Moss. In lane 7 from Swim Ottawa, Sophie Beauchesney. And in lane 8 from Halifax Trojans, Isabel Hussey. A very tight heat here from lanes 3, 4, 5, and 6, but it looks like 6 with the slightest of leads, although I think it'll come down to the flip here.
Danielle Moss in lane 6 from Swim Ottawa.
And it is Moss with a 1:14.99 at the 100-meter
mark. Followed then by Madeline Blakey with a time of 1:15.30. Followed then by lane 4, which is Madeline Blakey. This race is paper thin right here. It's looking like lane 5's winning, but honestly, I can't tell you.
That is Lila Pulsifer in lane 5.
Oh, but it's looking like lane 3 is also pulling up. It's looking like lane 3 and lane 5. That is, yeah, that's lane 5, touching in with a time of 2:34.66, followed by lane 3, which is Charlotte Evans with a time of 2:34.82. It was a very close race, off by 0.2, Ewan.
Less than 0.2 of a second, and in third place in lane 6 with a 2:36.31. That is Danielle Moss. That brings us to event 32. You said the power is supposed to be for me? You said that was supposed to be for me? It's supposed to be for him? This is our power rating. Yesterday they had stuff here for us when...
I think they're having some computer problems right now, Ewan. That's probably why there's a little bit of a break here.
A little bit of a delay. There was one before the best of the rest heat there. They did not declare the times on the board official before getting underway with the next heat.
Let's find out if these are official or not.
I have not heard yet, so we will have to wait and see the results. But the whistle is blowing, so we are getting underway with event 32, the men's 200-meter backstroke.
13 and under, a final. In lane 1, you got Benjamin Mugen from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 2 is Quentin Dixon from Toronto Swim Club. Lane 3 is Jacob Fowler from the Aces. Lane 4 is Nathan Wilson from St. John's Legends. Lane 5 is Joshua Trampo from the Crusaders. Lane 6 is Anton B. Solaris from the Toronto Swim Club. Lane 7 is Joel Phillips from SWAT. And lane 8 is Kayla McLeod from a...
It is lane 4 with about a second lead over the rest of the field, just 50 meters into this one. It is Nathan Wilson, and that is a name we have seen a lot here at this meet on the podium. A terrific meet so far from Wilson.
It's looking like Wilson is being followed by Joshua Trammell from the Crusaders. And then it's looking like the rest of the field is all pretty close. It's still anyone's game for that third place medal.
I want to say it's actually lane 7. That is Joel Phillips, or maybe even lane 1, Benjamin Nguyen, who are battling for third right now.
And it is looking like Nathan Wilson is touching in with a time of 1:12.92, followed by lane 5's Joshua Trammell with a time of 1:14.97, followed by lane 7. And like you said, Joel Phillips with a time of 1:18.46.
Backstroke is always such an interesting stroke to watch race because you can't really see the opponents. Think about the distance between lane 7 and lane 1. Joel Phillips and Benjamin Nguyen have no idea. They are so neck and neck in this race right now, and they just have to push themselves as much as they can without the added motivation of seeing their competition.
The other thing I always found a problem with backstroke is just my legs not working. You get into these longer backstroke races and your legs just stop working.
200 backstroke is a tough event. The physical and mental pain is very tough. It takes a tough swimmer to do the event, and right now that is exactly what Wilson is doing in lane 4 with a 1:51.5 at the 150-meter mark, lengthening his lead from the rest of the field with 25 meters to go for Wilson.
I've actually heard that Ewan McLean is made for this race.
Back when I was in the 13 and under category, this was my primary event. So this event right now has me feeling a little nostalgic. And look at Wilson here with 5 meters to go, still looking very strong, and he's going to touch. What's his time going to be?
He's touching with a time of 2:29.18, followed then by It's looking like Joshua Trambill. He's going to touch in with a time of 2:36.90. And then it's looking like lane 7's Joel Phillips will touch in with a time of 2:42.19.
Very good swims there from all 3 of these medalists, all 8 of these swimmers in the heat, in fact. Nathan Wilson dropping over 5 seconds off from his time this morning for a terrific sub 2:30 performance. Up next is the 14 to 15 A final in the men's 200 backstroke.
Next up, we have the boys 14-15 200-meter backstroke A final. Next up, we have the boys 14-15 200-meter backstroke A final.
Oh, it looks like there's been a potential false start. They're going to call the swimmers back to the wall here.
That's lane 3's and lane 2. Lane 1.
It's looking like they're going to let the swimmers have another go at the start here. Great call there from the referee. They're calling for the swimmers to relax there in the water. Swimmers still relaxing in the water. Breaks like this can be tough, and they can play on a swimmer's mind. They have to be sure not to get in their own head. Looks like lane 7 has opted to shake out on the side of the pool. A lot of different strategies. You see lane 2 lounging back, just trying to relax. Other swimmers treading water, some holding onto the wall. But in a few short moments, and they're calling for the swimmers to get back out of the pool here. Going to have another whistle blow and have the swimmers hop into the pool once again. Just a hard reset here on the start of this heat.
Next up, we have the boys 14-15 men's 200-meter backstroke A final. just a reminder, guys, this is boys 14-15 200-meter backstroke A final. Sorry for the delay, guys. We're not sure what's happening, but we're sure that it's going to get underway in any moment. It's sounding like they're testing out the equipment right now, and it's sounding like it is working again. So we are going to get underway again. Just a reminder, this is boys 14-50 200-meter backstroke A final.
The crowd very excited to get the racing back underway here, folks. And the swimmers have hit the water once again.
Take your marks.
And we are off. In lane 1 from Swim Ottawa, we have Ewan Von Stratton. In lane 2 from the Crusaders, Leon Bautista. Lane 3 from the Trojans, Dimitri Popkov. Lane 4 from the St. John's Legends, James Travers. Lane 5 for the Sackville Waves, Ethan Kershaw. Lane 6 from the Mount Port Marlins, Jim Gia. Lane 7 from Sackville Waves, Eugene Legg. And in lane 8 from Swim Ottawa is Declan Sweetenham. Adam, how important is the mental component in a swim race as demanding as a 200 backstroke? And how important is it for the swimmers to stay focused after a delay like that right before their event?
I don't know about 200 back, but I know I've had this happen once in a 100-meter back breaststroke, and it really threw me off my game, I won't lie. I think I did a lot worse because I got in my head a bit more.
That can happen, but it looks like these swimmers are unfazed, looking very strong here. In lane 4, it is James Travers, but not far behind is Kershaw in lane 5, and Popkov in lane 3, all looking very strong here in the first half of this race.
And touching in first is James Travers, touching with a time of 106.16, followed by Ethan Kershaw with a time of 106.80, followed then by Dmitry Popkov with a time of 108.73.
And a great call from the referee to let all of the swimmers continue to race in this one after that little malfunction we had in the earlier goings.
Because that was Dmitry Popkov who did false start.
It was, and he is shaking it off, and he's having a great race here over in lane 3. To 140.82 for Travers. That is a very fast 150-meter split there. And he's looking strong here, picking up the rate with 50 meters, 25 meters now to go for Travers.
Looking like James is slowing down a bit and Ethan Kershaw's catching up, but I don't think Ethan can make up that time.
A 2:15.54 for James Travers, followed by a 2:17.67 in lane 5 for Ethan Kershaw from the
James Travers is touching in with a second faster time than he did this morning.
And in lane 3, that is Popkov for the Halifax Trojans. Lane 4 for James Travers, that is not only a gold medal, but that is a Newfoundland provincial record. Congratulations to James Travers.
Yeah, but Ewan, who really cares about Newfoundland? Oh wait, you're from there.
I am from
Tell me all about those records.
That is actually a record I had for a few years since I was 14 years old until James Travers came through and absolutely smashed it at the David Fry.
Now I think James Travers is my favorite swimmer.
James Travers has now taken 5 seconds off of that record. James Travers, a truly generational talent from the nation of Newfoundland. But right now we are on to the 16 and over A final for the men's 200-meter backstroke.
In lane 1, we have John Earl from the Crusaders. Lane 2 is Oliver Risk from Rocks. Lane 3 is Owen Nicholson from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 4 is Michael McCormick from Swim Ottawa. Lane 5 is Ben Winterborn from Kingston Blue Marlins. Lane 4 is Logan Milne from Rocks. Lane 7 is Aiden Carroll from St. John's Legends. And lane 8 is Oliver Dogwood from the Crusaders.
It is lane 4 with a 31.06. That is Michael McCormick with the lead here, 50 meters into this one. There's a lot of talent in this field here. Olivier Risk in lane 2 has topped the podium a number of times here. Owen Nicholson, we've seen a lot of. Ben Winterborn, Logan Milne. This is a truly stacked field we have here. But right now it is McCormick and Winterborn pulling away from the field, with McCormick with the slightest leads with a 1:03.90, followed closely behind by a 1:04.34 for Winterborn, and then a 1:05.56 for lane 3, and that is Owen Nicholson. Looks like the three of them are starting to distance themselves from the pack and having a race of their own, but everyone on very strong paces here across the board in this one. Less than half a second separating Winterborn and McCormick with 50 meters to go in the 200-meter backstroke. And with 25 meters to go, it looks like Winterborn has pulled ahead of McCormick here. Winterborn is a swimmer we have seen top the podium a number of times, and it looks like he's going to add one more to the total with a 2:10.20, followed by in lane 4, that is going to be McCormick with a 2:11.60, and then in lane 3 with a 2:13.95, that's going to be Nicholson. Very fast performances from a number of swimmers in this one. What a heat of swimming we just got to witness there. A great show of sportsmanship there between lanes 4 and 5. McCormick and Winterbourne, they just went through a very tough race together. And you can see the mutual respect they have for each other after the battle they just endured. Up next is going to be the best of the rest heat for the men's 200-meter backstroke.
There was a disqualification in that last heat. Lane 3, heat 2. Heat 3, lane 2. Sorry about that. Next up, best of the rest, men's 200-meter backstroke.
Lane 2 from the Kingston Blue Marlins, that's Sean Malik. In lane 3 from the Halifax Trojans, Ryan Hull. Lane 4 from the North Bay Titans, that is Tim Corbet. In lane 5 from the Corner Brook Rapids, Liam MacArthur. Lane 6 from the Aces, Robert Pop. And in lane 7 from Ottawa is Jason Wen. I will quickly run through the rest of the presentation of medals from last night's 400 freestyle relay. In third place for the women's 400 freestyle relay, the Halifax Trojans. In second, the Dartmouth Crusaders. And taking home the gold was Swim Ottawa. But right now, coming into the 100-meter mark, it is MacArthur from the Rapids in lane 5 with the lead flipping in a 1:08.72, followed not too far behind by lane 2 and lane 4.
That's
the medalists in the men's 400-meter freestyle relay from last night's session of racing. In third place, Rock Swimming. In second place, the Dartmouth Crusaders. And in first place, the Halifax Trojans. And it is still MacArthur in the lead, but it looks like lane 4, that is Tim Corbet from the North Bay Titans, is making a move, so it may come down to the touch. Can MacArthur hold him off here? 10 meters to go. It looks like he's going to. And he will. Touching first is going to be Liam MacArthur from the Rapids in lane 5 with a time of 2:22.74. Taking second will be Tim Corbet of the North Bay Titans with a 2:23.66. And third will be lane 2 with a 2:26.38. And that is Sean Malik from the Kingston Blue Marlins. going to have a quick 2 to 3 minute break now as the officials move to the shallow end, because this is a 50-meter breaststroke up next, so they are going to need to be up on the other end to get the times of these swimmers.
Up next is the girls 12 and under 50-meter breaststroke A final. We got Emma Laycock from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 2 is Rowan LeBlanc from Swim Ottawa. Lane 3 is Jaden Higgins from the Wolfville Tritons. Lane 4 is Poppy Andrews from the Toronto Swim Club. Lane 5 is Claire Chin from St. John's Legends. Lane 6 is Claire Comerford from Mountain Pearl Marlins. Lane 7 is Anna McDonald from the Aces. And Lane 8 is Addison Myers from the Halifax Trojans.
First to the wall is going to be Lane 5 with a 37.91, and that is Claire Chin from the Legends.
2-second drop. That
is massive, especially in only a 50. In Lane 4 with a 38.07, that is Poppy Andrews from the Toronto Swim Club. And third place in Lane 3 with a 40.10 is Jaden Higgins from the Wolfville Tritons. Up next, the 13 to 14 women's 50-meter breaststroke A final. In Lane 1 from the Truro Centurions, Piper Hickox. In Lane 2 from the Halifax Trojans, Yale Bloom. In Lane 3 from Swim Ottawa, Danica Licari. Lane 4 from the Aces, Isabel Wilson. Lane 5 from the Truro Centurions, Audrey Parker. Lane 6 from the St. John's Legends, Mackenzie Wishart. Lane 7 from Nickel City Aquatics, Brooke Harrinan. And in Lane 8 from the Halifax Trojans, Maya Rasick. It looks like a dead heat here. It's going to be too close for us to call. We will have to wait patiently and see what the board tells us for who gets the touch here. It's going to be Lane 5, once again, 36.28. That is Audrey Parker for the Truro Centurions, followed closely behind by less than a tenth of a second with a 36.36 in Lane 4. That is Isabel Wilson from the Aces, and in third in Lane 3 with a 37.81. That is Danica Licari from Swim Ottawa. Up next, the women's 15 and over A final for this 50-meter breaststroke.
The times on the board are now official. In Lane 1, 1, we have Emma Jane Fowler from the Aces. Lane 2 is Juliette Mercier from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 3 is Maria McDougall from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 4 is Julie Nolan MacArthur, also from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 5 is Claire Bolts from Swim Ottawa. Lane 6 is Charlotte Evans from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 7 is Abel Nettleton from Truro Centurion. And lane 8 is Lily McLean from Fast with a PH.
And at the finish, it is Nolan McCarthy with a 33.61 from the Trojans. Second in lane 5 with a 34.30 is Claire Bolt from Swim Ottawa. And third in lane 3 with a 35.54 is going to be Maria McDougall, also from the Trojans. Up next, we have the best of the rest heat here for the women's 50 breaststroke.
Next up, we have the best of the rest.
Take your marks.
In lane 1 from the Halifax Trojans, Taryn Donnelly. In lane 2 from the Crusaders, Olivia Jodry. Lane 3 from Swim Ottawa, Olivia Chimera. In lane 4 from Toronto Swim Club, Abby Owen. Lane 5 from Rock Swimming, Isabella Dean. Lane 6 from Swim Ottawa, Alice DeVlieger. In lane 7 from the North Bay Titans, Brooklyn Bayless. And in lane 8 from the Halifax Wavecutters is Hannah Burt. First to the wall is lane 4 with a 37.04, and that is Abby Owen for the Toronto Swim Club. Second in lane 5 with a 37.64 is Isabella Dean from Rock Swimming, and lane 7 comes third in that one with a 38 flat, and that is Brooklyn Bayless from the North Bay Titans. That brings us to event 34, the men's 50-meter breaststroke.
13 under, A final. The times on the board are official. We have Henry Bretzel from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 2 is Owen Carew from the Mount Pearl Marlins. Lane 3 is Joshua Trammell from the Crusaders. Lane 4 is Brody McPherson from the Crusaders. Lane 5 is Ethan Daniel from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 6, Henry DeVelger from Swim Ottawa. Lane 7 is Devin Jansen from Kingston Blue Marlins. And lane 8 is Nolan McDougall from Fast with a PH.
It is Ethan Daniel with a 34.02 in lane 5, followed by in lane 4 with a 34.06, just 4/100ths of a second. Lane 4 is Brody McPherson, and then in lane 6 with a 36.30, it is going to be Henry DeVlieger from Swim Ottawa coming third. Up next, we have the 14 to 15 A final for the men's 50 breaststroke. In lane 1 for the Mount Pearl Marlins, Logan Goss. In lane 2 from the Trojans, Dmitry Popkov. Lane 3 from the Crusaders, Luke Ellis. In lane 4 from the Legends, Carter King. In lane 5 from Swim Ottawa, Ewan Von Stratton. In lane 6 from the Aces, Austin Heinbuch. Lane 7 from Swim Ottawa, Alexander Pashukovic. And in lane 8 from Swim Ottawa is George Morku. Very close on the finish there, but with a 32.78 in lane 5, that is Ewan Von Stratton taking it in second place. In lane 4 with a 33.12, that's going to be Carter King. And in third place in lane 3 with a 33.98. That is going to be Luke Ellis from the Crusaders. Up next, we have a fast one for you folks. It's the 16 and over men's 50 breaststroke A final.
Times on the board are official. Next up, 16 and over A final. In lane 1, we have Liam Tweedy from Mount Pearl Marlins. Lane 2 is Gabriel Bovin from the Summerside Dolphins. Lane 3 is Jake LaCour from the Gander Lakers. Lane 4 is Keelan Bellows from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 5 is Joel Thomas from Mount Pearl Marlins. Lane 6 is Logan Milne from Rocks. Lane 7 is Agaron Ramos from Lake Crusaders. And lane 8 is Matt LaCour from the Gander Lakers.
Touching first in a 30.88 is Kalen Bellis. Touching second in lane 6 in a 31.09 is going to be Logan Milne from Rock Swimming. And in third place in lane 3 with a 31.12 is going to be Jake LaCour.
Times on the board are official. Next up is the best of the rest.
In lane 1 from the Dartmouth Crusaders, John Earl. In lane 2 from the Crusaders, Gleb Pokalukin. In lane 3, also from the Crusaders, John Cluett. In lane 4 from the Mount Pearl Marlins, Daniel Pierce. Lane 5 from Swim Ottawa, Callum McGregor. In lane 6 from the Sackville Waves, Nelson Daniels. Lane 7 from the St. Child's Legends, Thomas Best. And in lane 8 also from the Crusaders is Nicholas Wallace. Very close finish there, just 2/100ths of a second separating lane 4, your winner, Daniel Pierce from the Marlins, and lane 3, your silver medalist, John Cluett from the Crusaders. Lane 5 also right there with a 33.10, and that is lane 5, which is Callum McGregor from Swim Ottawa. We are now going to take another quick break while the timers make their way back to the deep end for the 100-meter butterfly.
Next up, we have event 35, women's 100-meter butterfly, 12 and under, A final. 1, we have Pibby Styles from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 2 is Macy Laborie from the Aces. Lane 3 is Sophie Tigert from the Toronto Swim Club. Lane 4 is Naomi Sobkin from the North Bay Titans. Lane 5 is Harlow LeBlanc from St. John's Legends. Lane 6 is Kira Higdon from the St. John Legends. Lane 7 is Addison Myers from the Halifax Trojans. And in Lane 8 is Kira McCourt from the Rocks.
First at the 50-meter ruck at a 33.81 is Harlow LeBlanc from the St. John's Legends. That's a name we've seen a couple times tonight already, I believe. And Harlow is still looking very strong here, but Naomi from North Bay Titans is not letting her get away. LeBlanc and Sogbane are neck and neck here coming into the finish.
This is anyone's race, Ewan.
And look at lane 3. It looks like lane 3 is trying to make a move here too from the Toronto Swim Club. That's Sophie Tigert.
It's looking like Harlow LeBlanc might touch first. Harlow touches with a time of 1:14.81. Followed then by Kira Higdon with a time of 1:15.65. Followed by lane 3's Sophie Tigert with a time of 1:16.54.
Up next is the women's 13 to 14 100-meter butterfly A final, and the times on the board are official. In lane 1 from the Halifax Trojans, Edna McClellan. In lane 2 from the St. John's Legends, Anna Rideout. In lane 3 for the Halifax Trojans, Maya Rasick. In lane 4 from the Mount Hope Marlins, Ellie Stafford. In lane 5 from the Toronto Swim Club, Sarah Greenberg. Lane 6 from Swim Ottawa, Danica Licari. In lane 7 from the Halifax Trojans, Maya Johnson. And in lane 8 from the Greenwood Dolphins is Esri Button. This looks like a very close heat here from lanes 2 all the way to
lane
7.
3, touching in with a time of 32.46. That's Maya Rasick. It's looking like Ellie Stafford's taking the lead.
Stafford has pulled ahead here. Here comes lane 2.
Ellie Stafford touching with a time of 1:10.20, followed by lane 2's Anna Rideout touching with a time of 1:10.39, followed then by lane 3's Maya Rasick with a time of 1:10.92. All of those times were within 0.7 seconds of each other from first to third.
And nearly everyone in that heat, it looks like, improved from their morning swim. So a very quick heat of racing across the board there for the 13 to 14 A final, women's 100 fly. Up next, we have the women's 15 and over A final in the 100-meter butterfly, and the hits keep coming. This is looking like it's going to be another very quick heat of swimming. Blink and you'll miss it, folks.
In lane 1, we got Molly Barber from Swim Ottawa. Lane 2 is Emma Jane Fowler from the Aces. Lane 3 is Eden McGrath from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 4 is Naira Smith from the Crusaders. Lane 5 is Rachel Blackmore from the Crusaders. Lane 6 is Hannah Greenberg from Toronto Swim Club. Lane 7 is Lily Sheridan from the Toronto Swim Club. And lane 8 is Anna Whitaker from Swim Ottawa.
Lane 5 and lane 4 very close, but right now it is lane 5. That is Rachel Blackmore, just about 3/10 ahead of her teammate Niara Smith there in lane 4 at the 50-meter mark. Smith and Blackmore, teammates, side by side, neck and neck. It looks like Smith is ever so slightly ahead here with 15 to go. And it is Niara Smith from the Dartmouth Crusaders in lane 4 with the touch. It is actually lane 6 with a 1:06.27 sneaking in for silver there. That's Hannah Greenberg from the Toronto Swim Club. And then it is Rachel Blackmore from the Crusaders with a 1:06.31 in the lane 5 for bronze. Very close heat there. The top 5 swimmers all separated by less than 1 second.
Next up, we have the best of the rest. The times on the board are now official.
In lane 1 from the Corner Brook Rapids, Aideen Nelson. In lane 2 from Swim Ottawa, Sophie Beauchamp. In lane 3 from the Kingston Blue Marlins, Antoinette Parent. Lane 4 from the Dartmouth Crusaders, Sophia Dean. Lane 5 from Swim Ottawa, Danielle Moss. Lane 6 from Swim Ottawa, Isla Pulsifer. In lane 7 from the Halifax Trojans, Clara Durling. And in lane 8 also from Swim Ottawa is Isabella Chumera. It looks like lane 5, that is Danielle Moss from Swim Ottawa, has a lead here with about 10 to go. Coming into the wall, it looks like it's going to be Moss on the touch. And it is Danielle Moss with a 109.57 in lane 5, taking first in this heat. Second in lane 4 with a 110.15 is Sophia Dean from the Crusaders. And all the way in lane 8, Isabella Chumero with a 111.09 sneaks in for third.
Next up, we have event 36 men's 100-meter butterfly, 13 and under, A final. Lane 1, we have Joel Phillips from Swim Auto SWAT. Lane 2 is Vassal Krippinen from Aces. Lane 3 is Nathan Wilson from St. John Legends. And Lane 4 is Owen Carew from Mount Pearl Marlins. Lane 5 is Henry DeVilliger from Swim Ottawa. Lane 6 is Cooper Scott from Toronto Swim Club. Lane 7 is Patrick Sutherland from the Halifax Trojans. And Lane 8 is Sam Murphy from the Halifax Trojans.
And many consider butterfly to be the toughest stroke to learn, but Vassal Krippinen in lane 2 from the Aces at only 10 years old is showing out here in the A final for the men's 13 and under 100 butterfly.
That is very impressive. I know at 10 years old, I didn't even know I was swim freestyle.
Butterfly is certainly the most intimidating one to learn at 10 years old. I'm not sure if I could complete 100
If we're
meters
being
butterfly
honest,
either.
even at 20 years old, still don't have it down.
It's a tough one for sure, but right now it looks like lane 4 and lane 3, that is Owen Carew and Nathan Wilson, have mastered butterfly, and Wilson is surging here with 15 to go.
It's looking like he's keeping it up, but you can die off these last 10 meters.
Especially in the butterfly, the most demanding of the strokes, but with 5 to go, it doesn't look like he's gonna die off. He's holding strong.
It's looking like Nathan's touched it with a time of 109.02, followed then by lane 4's Owen Carew with a time of 111.61, then followed by a 112.29 in lane 5 of Henry DeVilliger.
The times on the board are official, which brings us to the 14 to 15-year-old men's 100-meter butterfly A final. In lane 1 from the Toronto Swim Club, it is Jake Redfern. Lane 2 from the Crusaders, Leon Bautista. Lane 3 from the Aces, Silas Campbell. In lane 4 from Nickel City Aquatics, James Mongen. Lane 5 from the Kingston Blue Marlins, Ryan Leighton Matthews. Lane 6 from the Mount Par Marlins, Jim Gia. Lane 7 from the St. John's Legends, James Travers. And in lane 8 from the North Bay Titans, it is Owen Boss.
It's looking like lanes 3, 4, and 5. That's Silas Campbell, James Montague, and Ryan Leighton Matthews are all very, very close. But it is looking like Silas and Ryan are both taking it out. But it's still anyone's game because this is a hard swim. It's looking like lane 5. That's Ryan is going to touch it with a time of 101.16. That's an incredibly fast time. Followed then by lane 3, Silas Campbell with a time of 101.82. Then followed by lane 4's James Mongian with a time of 101.90.
All three of those swimmers going under 102, all in the 101 range for 100-meter butterfly. That is a very quick swim.
Those are all very, very good times compared to their swims this morning. Just for instance, Silas cut off about 3 seconds.
In 100 meters, that is a very long time. I know 3 seconds in your day-to-day life may not sound like much, but in swimming, that can make a world of a difference. Up next, we have the men's 16 and over A final in the men's 100-meter butterfly.
We have Ryan Maymar from Rocks. Lane 2 is Keelan Bellis from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 3 is Ben Winterborn from the Kingston Blue Marlins. Lane 4 is Luca Tomic from the Aces. Lane 5 is Will Myrer from the Crusaders. Lane 6 is Daniel Pierce from Mount Pearl Marlins. Lane 7 is Aiden Carroll from St. John Legends. And in lane 8 is Zachary Pantaroto from Swim Ottawa.
A very fast heat of swimming here this morning. 3 of these swimmers broke the 1-minute barrier, and 2 more of them right there at the 1:00 mark. Lane 4, that is Luca Tomic taking it out in a 27.1. And he's looking very strong, very poised here with 25 meters to go. Oh, and look at Pierce in lane 6, looking very strong here at the finish. It's going to be Pierce potentially overtaking Tomic at the touch. Who is it going to be?
It is looking like lane 4's Luca Tomic touched in with a time of 58.28. Followed then by lane 3's Ben Winterborn, lane 6's Daniel Pierce with a time of 58.40. Then followed by lane 3's Ben Winterborn with a time of 59.06.
4 swimmers cracking the 1-minute barrier. That was a fast heat of swimming, and that brings us to the final 100 fly heat of the night, and that is the best of the rest men's 100-meter butterfly heat.
In lane 1, we have Brandon Puddick from the Crusaders. Lane 2 is Ryan Hall from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 3 is Alex Johnson Humboldt from the Crusaders. Lane 4 is Darcy Butler from Mount Pearl Marlins. Lane 5 is Hassan Hosni from Halifax Trojans. Lane 6 is Kyler Bellany from the Toronto Swim Club. And lane 7 is Agaron Ramos from the Crusaders.
First to the wall in a 28.74 is Darcy Butler from the Marlins. Darcy primarily a freestyler, but showing some range here in the butterfly. Looking strong, but looking potentially even stronger is lane 3 and lane 5, who are surging here with 10 meters to go, but it's Darcy's going to hold him off. 5 meters left. What is his time going to be? It's going to be a 1:01.10 for Butler in lane 4, followed by in lane 5 with a 1:02.71 is Hassan Hosni, and in lane 3 with a 1:02.88, that is Alex Johnson-Humble from the Crusaders. That concludes our men's 100 butterfly and brings us to our final individual race of the night today already. I can't believe it, folks. It is the 400-meter freestyle. The board is not yet official, folks.
We're going to move it on to the women's 400-meter freestyle, 12 and under, A final.
In lane 1 from the St. John's Legends, Emily Wardle. In lane 2 from the Toronto Swim Club, Poppy Andrews. Lane 3 from the St. John's Legends, Claire Chin. Lane 4 from the Halifax Trojans, Mary Ellen Holland. In lane 5 from the Kingston Blue Marlins, Helena Tripp. In lane 6 from the Kingston Blue Marlins, Maggie Schmidt-Stutzman. In lane 7 from the Toronto Swim Club, Sophie Tigert. And in lane 1 is Maddie Alada from the St. John's Legends.
That's lane 8.
In lane 8, you are correct there, Adam. Lane 4 touches first in a 32.37, and that is Mary Ellen Holland from the Trojans. What a meet already we've seen from Mary Ellen Holland. She has been putting up tremendous times in a number of events, and the 400 free does not look to be any different, as she is on a very comfortable yet strong pace here in the early goings of this one.
I'm just going to read off some of the finalists for the medalists for the women's 200-meter backstroke for 12 and under from the St. John Legends. In third place, we have Harlow LeBlanc. In second place, from the Halifax Trojans, we have Mary Ellen Holland. And in first place, from the Kingston Blue Marlins, we have Helena Tripp. For your 13-14 women's 200-meter backstroke, from the St. John's Legends, we have Alexandra Campbell. In lane 2, for second place, we have, from the St. John Legends, we have Kaylee Simmons. And in first place, from Wilmot Aquatic Aces, we have Mia Tomic. And for the 15 and over medalists, coming in third place from the Mount Pearl Marlins is Abby Andrews. In second place, from Nova Scotia Blue Nose Masters, we have Isabel Mellinson. And from the Dartmouth Crusaders, in first place, we have Aaliyah Bloom. Dude, my voice is gone. Oh, that's odd.
Right now, if you draw your attention to the pool, it looks like at the 200-meter mark, it is a breakaway heat here for Mary Ellen Holland and Claire Chin, but it is Mary Ellen Holland with just about a second, and a little bit over a second actually, advantage over Chin, but they are both looking very strong here. 400 free is a race of a lot of strategy. You don't know if Claire Chin's holding back a little bit, hoping to have a little extra surge for the last portion of this race.
Yeah, and some people call it drafting, where you stay really close to their wake and use their wake to propel you faster through the water.
You're absolutely right about that, Adam. You never know exactly what's going through the minds of these swimmers. Now for the medalists in the men's 200-meter backstroke event. In third place from the Sackville Waves, Joel Phillips. In second place from the Dartmouth Crusaders, Joshua Tumenpil. And taking gold from the St. John's Legends, Nathan Wilson. For the men's 14 to 15 category, in third place from the Trojans, Dmitry Popkov. In second place from the Sackville Waves, Ethan Kershaw. And taking first from the St. John's Legends, James Travers. But right now it looks like Mary Ellen Holland has created a bit more of a lead here for herself over Chin, holding a strong pace with a 3:35.10 at the 300-meter mark. But Chin is right there with a 3:39.56 in lane 3 at the 300-meter mark for her. And in third right now is lane 5 with a 3:46 at the turn there, and that is Helena Tripp from the Kingston Blue Marlins. As for your medalists for the men's 16 and over 200-meter backstroke, in third place from the Halifax Trojans, Owen Nicholson. In second place from Swim Ottawa, Michael McCormick. And in first place from the Kingston Blue Marlins, Ben Winterborn.
And it still looks like Mary Ellen Holden is holding her first place, flipping in with a time of 4:46.36. And then it is Chin Claire. Oh, she's touching in with an unofficial time of 4:46, sorry. And Claire Chin's coming in second unofficially with a time of 4:45. 4:54, 4:51, sorry. And then in lane 5, we have Helena Tripp coming in with a time of 5:01.42. In lane 1, we have Julia Collins from the Kingston Blue Marlins. Lane 2 is Yale Bloom from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 3 is Anna Ridow from the St. John Legends. Lane 4 is Kaylee Simmons from the St. John Legends. Lane 5 is Mia Tomic from the Aces. Lane 6 is Isabel Wilson from the Aces. Lane 7 is Chloe Rodzicki from the Kingston Blue Marlins. And in lane 8 is Etta McClellan from the Halifax Trojans. It's looking like lane 5's Mia Tomic is taking the lead for here, but this is still a very long race. Mia Tomic flipping in with a time of 1:07.26, followed by lane 4's Kaylee Simmons with a time of 1:07.78, followed then by Anna Ridow with a time of 1:09.09.
Lane 5 and lane 4, that is Tomic and Simmons neck and neck here with lanes 3 and 2 and even 7, even even 8. It is a very close heat here. Number of swimmers very competitive here, but right now it is clearly 4 and 5. Simmons and Tomic battling for gold as we approach the halfway point in the women's 13 to 14 400 meter freestyle. It looks like Simmons has a slight lead here over Tomic, but again, anything can happen in a race as long as the 400 meter freestyle, and you don't know what's going through the head of these swimmers. But we'll have to see who gets the first flip. It is Simmons by just about a second here over Tomic with 150 meters left to go.
And it is looking like Kaylee Simmons is going to flip in first with a time of 3:32.82, followed then by Mia Tomic with a time of 3:33.82, then followed by lane 2, Yale Bloom with a time of 3:38.41.
It looks like we have a very intense battle for first here and a very intense battle for third as well between lanes 4 and 5 for gold, 2 and 3 for bronze.
But let's also not disclude 7 and 8. They're both very close to that bronze position.
Right there. This is a very competitive heat. It is shaping up to be a good one, and it may come down to the touch for a number of placements being decided here. It looks like Tomic has pulled ever so slightly ahead of Simmons, but it'll all come down to the touch here. Tomic is looking very strong here with about 15 meters left to go.
It does look like Kaylee is also very strong here, but it does look like Mia is pulling away just slightly.
And it is lane 5 with a 4:42.98. That is Mia Tomic, and in lane 4, Callie Simmons with a 4:44.10. And in the battle for third, it is lane 2. That is Bloom from the Crusaders, just out touching by 1/100th of a second over lane 3, and that was Anna Rideout. Very close race there. You love to see a hug exchange between lanes 2 and 3. Great show of sportsmanship after a close race they endured there. And in the 15 and over A final in the women's 400 meter freestyle, in lane 1 from the Toronto Swim Club, Maya Goal. In lane 2 from the Truro Centurions, Ava Nettleton. In lane 3 from the Dartmouth Crusaders, Catherine Dawson. Lane 4 from the Trojans, Aideen McGrath. Lane 5 from the Trojans, Juliette Mercier. In lane 6 also from the Trojans, Allison Redfern. In lane 7 from Swim Ottawa, Anna Whitaker. And in lane 8 from Swim Ottawa is Molly Barber.
This is looking like a very even race right now with everyone coming in fast. We have lanes 1, 2, 7, and 8. It's looking like a bit of an outside sweep at this moment, but we will see what happens in the coming race laps. right. Molly Barber is pulling ahead just slightly. She's going to flip in with a time of 105.11, followed then by lane 7's Anna Whitaker with a time of 106.20, followed then by lane 2's Ava Nettleton with a time of 106.77. It's looking like Molly's pulling away really fast here, but you really don't know if she's going to be able to hold up this pace. If she can, she will win by a landslide, but if she can't, she could fall back quite a few positions. It's looking like Molly is keeping her lead a little bit here, but we also do have swimmers over in lane 2, Ava Nettleton from the Truro Centurion pulling up, and we have lane 4's Eden McGrath pulling up too. This is a very, very close race still. Molly Barber's flipping in with a time of 2:16.88, followed then by lane 4's Aiden McGrath with a time of 2:18.61, followed then by lane 7's Anna Whitaker with a time of 2:18.83. Like I said, this is a very, very close race still, as this is a long race, and you can get tired out very, very fast with your arms starting to hurt. It's looking like Molly and Aiden McGrath are battling it out here, but it does look like Aiden McGrath is edging out the lead just by a little bit, but Molly's still holding in there. Aiden McGrath is going to flip in with a time of 3:29.41, followed then by Molly Barber with a time of 3:31.15, followed then by Anna Whitaker with a time of 3:32.62. Still a very, very close race here. And it's looking like Aiden McGrath is touching in with a time of 4:05.05, followed then by Molly Barber flipping in with a time of 4:07.90, followed then by Anna Whitaker with a time of 4:09.38.
Now this is very interesting. Barber in lane 8 won the 50 freestyle earlier in this meet, so she's shown that she can sprint. And right now she's showing her range here, performing very well in the 400 freestyle. And I find it unlikely that the 50 freestyle champion will be caught, but right now it is Aiden McGrath from the Trojans with a good gap on the field into the finish, and it is going to be McGrath in lane 4, touching in a 4:39.45.
Followed then by Molly Barber with a time of 4:42.34, then followed by Anna Whitaker with a time of 4:44.31.
And look at these SWAT teammates there. That is SWAT as in Swim Ottawa. Very excited to sneak into not only second, but also third from lanes 7 and 8. Great swim there. Very exciting one to watch.
Next up, we have Heat 4, Best of the Rest. Madam Referee. Laycox from the Truro Centurion. Lane 2 is Olivia Williams from the Wolfville Trains. Lane 3 is Julie Nolan McCarthy from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 4 is Anna Whitaker. Lane 5 is Kira Scott from the Toronto Swim Club. Lane 6 is Maria McDougall from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 7 is Alice DeVelger from Swim Ottawa. And Lane 8 is Elena Mercier from SWAT.
At the 100-meter mark, it is lane 7 with a 107.88. That is Alice DeVlieger from Swim Ottawa with the lead, but Abby Andrews from the Mount Pleasant Marlins not far behind. Andrews will be going to SFU next year to join Owen Nicholson along with many other recruits. They have a very strong incoming rookie class. A great recruiting year for them.
And in lane 5 is touching in first. That is Kira Scott. Followed then by lane 7's Alice DeVelger.
And it looks like Andrews has regained control of the race here with a 2:21.85. She is flipping in first. Lane 7 and lane 3 not far behind. Lane 7 is DeVlieger from Swim Ottawa. Lane 3, Julie Nolan McCarthy, yes, from Halifax Trojans. I'll quickly take a moment here to go over the 50 breast medalists for the women's 12 and under. In third place from the Wolfville Tritons, Jaden Higgins. In second place from the Toronto Swim Club, Poppy Andrews. And in first from the St. John's Legends, Claire Chin. For the women's 50-meter breaststroke, in third place from Swim Ottawa, Danica Lakari. In second place from the Aces, Isabel Wilson. And in first place from the Truro Centurions, Audrey Parker. And for the women's 50-meter breaststroke, 15 and over, in third place from the Trojans, Maria McDougall. In second from Swim Ottawa, Claire Bolt. And the event winner from the Halifax Trojans, Julie Nolan McCarthy. You can do it after this, I guess.
It's looking like lane 5's Kira Scott is leading off, followed closely by Julie Nolan McCarthy, then followed by lane 7's Alice DeVelger. Kira Scott flipping in with a time of 3:35.13. So that was Abby Andrews in first.
It is still Andrews with 50 meters left to go with a 4:11.46.
And it is looking like Abby Andrews has almost secured the win. She's still got another 10 meters, but she does have quite a distance on everyone else. 5 meters left. Abby Andrews is going to touch in with a time of 4:47.11, followed then by Julie Nolan McCarthy with a time of 4:50.40, and followed by Alice DeVelger with a time of 4:52.29.
And that will conclude the women's 400-meter freestyle and bring us to event 38, the men's 400-meter freestyle event. In lane 1 for the Dartmouth Crusaders, we have Brody McPherson. In lane 2 from the Aces, Kayla McLeod. Lane 3 for the St. John's Legends, Henry Pearson. In lane 4 from the Aces, Jacob Fowler. In lane 5 from the Toronto Swim Club, Cooper Scott. In lane 6 from Fast, Nolan McDougall. In lane 7 from the Toronto Swim Club, Anton Solarius. And in lane 8 from the Kingston Blue Marlins, Devin Jansen.
For the men's 50-meter breaststroke 13 under medalist, we have in third place from Swim Ottawa, Henry DeVelger. In second place from the Dartmouth Crusaders, we have Brody McPherson. And in first place from the Halifax Trojans, we have Ethan Daniel. For the 1450 medalists, we have from the Dartmouth Crusaders, Luke Ellis. In second place from the St. John Legends, we have Carter King. And in first place for Swim Ottawa, we have Yuan von Straten.
"100 meters into this one, and it looks like Fowler in lane 4 for the Aces is in the lead with a 106.94, but right on him are lane 6 and lane 5. That is Nolan McDougall from Fast and Cooper Scott from the Toronto Swim Club.
Is that the guy who's allegedly going to beat me?
And for the men's 16 and over 50-meter breaststroke, in third place from the Gander Lakers, Jake LaCour. In second from Rock Swimming, Logan Milne. And in first from the Halifax Trojans is Kaylin Bellis.
And it is looking like Jacob Fowler is touching with a time of 2:18.67. Followed then by, it's looking like lane 5's Cooper Scott from the Toronto Swim Club with a time of 2:25.35. Followed then by Nolan McDougall from Fast with a time of 2:25.85.
We can now run through our 100-meter butterfly medalists for the women's 12 and under 100 butterfly. In third place from the Toronto Swim Club, Sophie Tigert. In second from the St. John's Legends, Kiara Higdon. And in first, Harlow LeBlanc from the St. John's Legends. For the women's 13 to 14 100-meter butterfly, in third place from the Trojans, Maya Rasick. In second from the Legends, Anna Rideout. And in first from the Mount Plum Marlins, Ellie Stafford. And for the women's 15 and over 100-meter butterfly, in third place from the Dartmouth Crusaders, Rachel Blackmore. In second from the Toronto Swim Club, Hannah Greenberg. And in first from the Crusaders, Niera Smith.
Jacob Fowler is extending his lead, flipping in with a time of 3:31.45. And it's still looking like for second place we have Cooper Scott from the Toronto Swim Club, but it's looking like third and fourth place are going to be a fight. And it's looking like our Cooper is touching with a time of 3:43.81, followed then by lane 3's Henry Pearson with a time of 3:45.40. And now I will read off the medalists for the men's 100-meter fly. Coming in third place for the 13 and unders from Swim Ottawa's Henry DeVilger. Coming in second place from Mount Borough Marlins is Owen Carew. And coming in first place for the St. Charles Legends is Nathan Wilson. For the 14-15 men's 100-meter fly, we have in third place from NCA, James Mongian. In second place from Aces, we have Silas Campbell. And in first place from the Kingston Mariners, we have Ryan Leighton Matthews.
We will read off the final 100 fly medalists, but this is a finish here and a very quick one at that, a 4:43.01 for Jacob Fowler from the Aces, dropping about 2 seconds from his morning swim, which was already a very fast standard to begin with. And the battle, Henry Pearson's looking to make a move for second place here, but lane 5 is looking strong. It's going to be Cooper Scott with a 4:59.85 touching second, followed by lane 3, Henry Pearson from the St. John's Legends with a 5:00.70 touching for bronze.
And our 16 and over medalist coming in third place from the Kingston Mariners is Ben Winterborn. In second place for the Mount Borough Marlins, we have Daniel Pierce, and in first place from the Aces is Luka Tomic. Probably the brother of Mia Tomic. Both very fast swimmers. Next up, we have the 14-15 men's 400-meter freestyle A final. Lane 1, we have Austin Heinbach from Aces. Lane 2 is Jake Redfern from the Toronto Swim Club. Lane 3 is Ethan Kershaw from SWATs. Lane 4 is Robert Pop from the Aces. Lane 5 is Silas Campbell from the Aces. Lane 6 is Luke McLean from Pictou County Mariners. Lane 7 is Aiden Airy from the Crusaders. And in lane 8 is Benjamin Sauce from the Aces. Ewan, is there any relation to Luke McLean?
Not that I am aware of, but I'm certainly pulling for a fellow McLean here, and he's looking very strong here. In first place, however, at the 50-meter mark, it is lane 4, and that is Robert Pop, a swimmer we have seen very, very dominant here in the freestyle events. Right now, it is actually his teammate, Silas Campbell, who appears to have the slightest lead over him coming into the 100-meter mark. It is very close between lanes 4 and 5. That is teammates Pop and Campbell. Less than a tenth of a second at the 100-meter mark. You can only imagine that they've trained distance freestyle sets for countless hours in practice, so they know exactly how it feels to swim at uncomfortable paces side by side, and they're showing it here today.
Looking like we still have Robert Pop in first coming into this 200-meter mark. He's going to flip in with a time of 2:08.16, followed then by Silas Campbell with a time of 2:09.60, then followed by Ethan Kershaw with a time of 2:13.35.
400 freestyle I've always considered to be a very underratedly difficult event. The 200 freestyle is more of a sprint. The 1500 you get to settle into a little bit of a pace, and the 400 meter freestyle is that awkward bit in between where you really can't get comfortable or slow down. You constantly have to be pushing the pace, but if you go out too fast, you will pay for it on the back end. But right now you can see an experienced swimmer for only 14 years old, for 15 years old rather, Robert Popp in lane 4, looking very strong here as he approaches the 300 meter mark.
It's looking like Robert's gonna flip in with a time of 3:16.16, followed then by Silas with a time of 3:19.69, followed then by Ethan Kershaw with a time of 3:24.21. It's looking like Robert Popp has got himself a healthy lead. He's about, I'd say, 5 meters ahead of the competition. Robert Popp's going to touch in with a time of 4:20.87. Followed then by Silas. He's going to touch in with a time of 4:28.94. Followed then by Ethan Kershaw, touching in with a time of 4:34.54.
First and second there for the Aces, and you can see them talking about it. They look quite excited, although quite tired at the same time. 400 free, a very tough event, but right now it is time for the 16 and over A final in the men's 400 meter freestyle. And this is going to be a quick one. We have already seen what Olivier Risk, Nicholson, and Shepard can do in the distance events earlier in this meet in the 800 free, and I have a feeling they will be even faster here tonight in the 400. Not to mention several other quick swimmers in this heat. This is going to be one to watch for sure. Times on the board are official as we move on to the 16 and over A final. In lane 1 for the Toronto Swim Club, Kyler Bellamy. In lane 2 for the Dartmouth Crusaders, Alex Johnson-Humble. In lane 3 for the Halifax Trojans, Owen Nicholson. Lane 4 for rock swimming, Olivier Risk. In lane 5 for the Mount Pearl Marlins, Felix Shepard. Lane 6 for rock swimming, Louis Lalonde. In lane 7 for SWAT, Zachary Pantaroto. And in lane 8 for the Dartmouth Crusaders is Gabriel Levine. First to the wall is actually lane 3. That is Owen Nicholson with a 28.7, but it is going to be very close here, I suspect, between Nicholson, Risk, and Shepard. But don't count out any of these other swimmers. They have proven themselves very much over the weekend as well. It is still Nicholson at the 100 meter mark in a 1:00.63, but right on his tail in lane 4 is Risk with a 1:00.86, followed by with a 1:01.81, lane 5, that is Felix Shepard.
I don't know if you saw this, Ewan, but I see Olivier Risk pulling off with those walls. He's going a little bit further and a little bit faster than his other competition.
That's very true, and those walls add up in a race as long as 400 free. You have 8 of them to work with here in the long course 400 freestyle. So 8 opportunities to gain up a little ground on the opponent is a lot.
It's all about being the most efficient you can with the energy you can, because you're going to be dead at the end of this race.
It is nearly impossible to avoid being exhausted at the end of a 400 freestyle. If you're not exhausted at the end of the 400 freestyle, you did not swim it correctly. But if you have enough left in the tank to have a final push, that certainly helps too. Nicholson and Risk and Shepard looking very strong here as well in lane 6. That is Louis Lalonde, Risk's teammate from Rock Swimming.
Oh my, that was a very, very close slip turn. We had Owen Nicholson touching in with a time of 2:05.2 and Olivier touching in with a time of 2:05.65. That is about a .13 time difference on that turn.
But it looks like Risk is already starting to kick it into another gear here. Starting to pull ahead of Nicholson, but Nicholson trying to hold on there, trying to ride the wave of Risk here.
And it's looking like Risk is going to flip in with a time of 2:35.80. It's looking like he's got 2 seconds on his competition there in that last 50 meters.
And this is what I was talking about earlier in the 400 freestyle. You're going to see different strategies. Risk might have been holding back, swimming the first half a little bit comfortably just so he has more left in the tank for the back half of this race. And he is showing it here as Risk is absolutely flying in the third 100 of this 400-meter event. Nicholson also looking very strong, as is Shepard in lane 5, but it is going to be Risk at the 300-meter mark with a 3:06.49, followed closely behind by Nicholson with a 3:10.04, and here comes Shepard in lane 5, who will flip on a 3:14.41.
Let's see if Olivier can hold this pace. I'm sure he can, but maybe starting to swim fast in the last 200 meters might end him. We don't know.
I have a feeling he has practiced this strategy countless times. We've seen how quickly he can close. Who can forget earlier in the meet in the 200 freestyle relay when his miraculous final leg allowed the Rock Swim team to win the relay by 1/100th of a second. The closing speed for Risk is no joke. A 3:36.66 there at the 350-meter mark for Risk, a 3:42.35 for Nicholson, and a 3:46.65 for Shepard.
It's looking like Olivier is going to touch in with a time of 4:06.51. He is being followed closely by Owen Nicholson with a time of 4:14.62, then followed by Felix Shepard with a time of 4:17.35.
Now, I believe what we just saw there from Olivier Risk, the second half of his race was even faster than the first half. That's what you call a negative split. It is a rare sight to see. Consider the fact that they have the advantage of the dive in the first half of the race. They come in with all this energy. Olivier Risk was able to kick it into such a high gear that the second half of his race was even faster than the first half. Very impressive showing there from Risk. Very impressive showing from a number of swimmers in this heat.
I think Olivier actually dialed it up to 11 in that race.
He started it out as a 10 and cranked it up to 11 there.
That's what he did. Sorry about that. And it's looking like in lane 1 we have Dash from the Incredibles swimming. Lane 3 we have Zan Lidenik from the Kingston Blue Marlins. Lane 4 is Luke Ellis from the Crusaders. Lane 5 is Aiden Moore from Rocks. Lane 6 is Jack Robinson from the Halifax Trojans. Lane 7 is Jason Wen from Swim Ottawa. And lane 8 is Nelson Daniels from SWAT.
At the 50-meter mark there, it was actually Daniels from the Sackville Waves in first, taking it out quickly here in lane 8. And he is still looking quite strong here. And then behind Daniels, lanes 3 all the way to 7 are very close, but don't count out lane 1 either there. It is a pretty close heat here, Adam.
That it is, with Dash, Benny, Kingston Blue Marlins swimming over there in lane 1. surprised he's not walking on water over there.
And it is still a very competitive heat of swimming here. It looks like it is still Daniels down there in lane 8 with the lead. And then the rest of the field jostling for positions. Daniels' time did not pop up on the board, but there is no doubt about it that he flipped in first place with lane 7 in a 2:20.29. That is Jason Wen, following not too far behind in second. And then just about the rest of the field following not too far behind Wen. It is still Daniel, and there is a split for him. It is a 2:53.94. He's got about just over 3 seconds over the rest of the field, and after that, it is a field that is very close, less than a second, separating second and sixth place here in a 400-meter freestyle. And it is still Daniels with about 3.5 seconds now over the rest of the field, and it is now lane 3 with the advantage. Again, less than 1 second between second place all the way back to sixth place in this heat. This is going to be a very close finish to watch here, folks. The battle for second and third in the best of the rest heat, our final individual race of the session, and what a way to end it. But stick around, because after this is over, we have the ever-exciting relay, and tonight it is the 400-meter medley relay. That's each swimmer. Each stroke is swum for 100 meters. Not sure what's happening with the splits there. I am pretty sure it will still be Daniels in first, but it is a close battle for second, as you can see on the clock there. And it looks like the rest of the field is caught up for Daniels. He went out like a rocket, and now the rest of the field is coming hard. I think it's lane 4 from the Crusaders. That is Luke Ellis, who broke away there. And it is 4:43.36 for Ellis. 4:44.05 for lane 6, Jack Robinson from the Trojans, and lane 5 with a 4:40. Oh, it is a tie for second, actually. 2 4:44.05s for lane 5 and 6. That is Aiden Moore from Rock Swimming and Jack Robinson from the Trojans. The times on the board are not yet official, folks, but we are going to get underway with the relays. First up, they have decided to combine the women's 12 and under and the men's 13 and under 400-meter medley relays. The women will be in lanes 2 through 4, with the boys in lanes 5 through 7. as the swimmers jump into the water. This is a different order of strokes than you see in the typical individual medley. As we start off with the backstroke, then you will see breaststroke followed by butterfly and then freestyle.
Swimmers are reminded that you must have at least one turn on each foot in contact with the yellow pad. Take your marks.
And a large whoosh there from the fellow swimmers trying to hype up their swimmers, their teammates here as they start the 12 and under and 13 and under 400 medley relay rather. In lane 2, it is the Halifax Trojans B team being led off from the backstroke leg by Sophia Stade. Lane 3 for the St. John's Legends 12 and under women is Maddie Latta. Lane 4, Arwen Middleton Meekin doing the backstroke for the ladies for the Trojans. And in lane 5 for the men's 13 and under 400 medley relay, leading off the aces is Noah Muleman, leading off Swim Ottawa. In lane 6 is Henry DeVlieger, and in lane 7 for the Trojans is Henry Bretzler. First to the wall is lane 6, that is Henry DeVlieger leading off the men's 13 and under, and in lane 3, leading off the women's 12 and under is Maddie Latta for the Legends. The backstrokers coming to the wall. The next stroke you're going to see is the breaststroke. Again, a slightly different order than you'll see in individual medley. It goes backstroke, breaststroke, butterfly, freestyle. Hitting the water next for the Halifax Trojans in lane 2, the women's 12 and under team is Addison Myers. In lane 3 for the Legends 12 and under is Kiera Higdon. In lane 4 for the Trojans, Emma Laycock. For the men's 13 and under relay, in lane 5, we have Vasil Krupanen from the Aces. In lane 6 for Swim Ottawa, we have Kieran Sweetenham. And in lane 7 for the Halifax Trojans is Jack Rivers Bowerman. Finishing the breaststroke leg in lane 6 for Swim Ottawa was Kieran Sweetenham, handing off the butterfly leg to Charles Mower from Swim Ottawa. Up there in lane 2 for the women's 12 and under, diving in next for the Trojans will be Lillian Bishop. In lane 3 for the Legends 12 and under, Harlow LeBlanc. In lane 4, Mary Ellen Holland for the Trojans. And then for the men's 13 and under, in lane 5 for the Aces, Jacob Fowler. In lane 6, as I had just said, it is Charles Mower for Swim Ottawa. And in lane 7, it is Patrick Sutherland for the Trojans. And it is still Swim Ottawa leading the way. And it looks like for the women's 12 and under relay, it is currently lane 3, but they're being ran down by lane 2. That is the Legends being ran down by the Trojans. For the women's 12 and under, it's going to come down for the anchor leg there. But right now, Elliot Molds for Swim Ottawa diving in for the freestyle anchor leg for his team. Diving into lane 2 for the Halifax Trojans is going to be Annika Monkman. In lane 3 for the Legends is going to be Claire Chin. In lane 4 for the Trojans is going to be Pippi Stiles. In lane 5 for the men's 13 and under relay for the Aces is Kaylin McLeod. In lane 6 for Swim Ottawa is Elliot Molds. And in lane 7 for the Halifax Trojans is Sam Murphy. It is still lane 6, Swim Ottawa with the lead, a 4:27.20 with 50 meters to go. Well, on the women's side of things, it looks like Claire Chin for the Legends has distanced herself from their competition, having a near 5-second lead now, 50 meters in to the freestyle leg of this relay. And here comes Molds here from Swim Ottawa for the finish. And Molds touches. There's their final time, a 5:05.23. Looks like it might have been a soft touch. It may have been even faster than that, folks. In lane 3, Claire Chin anchors the St. John's Legends. Their time not yet appearing on the board, but it is quite clear that they got their hand to the wall first. There it is, a 5:11.55 in lane 2 for the Halifax Trojans. Annika Monkman anchors them to a 5:22.21. In lane 5, coming second for the men's 13 and under relay, that is the Aces being anchored by Caitlin McLeod. In lane 7, coming third for the men's 13 and under relays, Sam Murphy anchoring the Trojans. And in lane 4, it is going to be Pippi Stiles coming into the wall for the Trojans for bronze in the women's 12 and under relay. And that is Pippi Stiles anchoring them to a 5:48.94. Up next, we have women's 13 and 14 400-meter medley relay.
Next up, we have the women's 13-14 400-meter medley relay. Madam Referee. They're just telling the swimmers right now that they need to have at least one toe on the touchpad for their start to be official. In lane 1 for Swim Ottawa, we have Maddie Gordon taking off for the backstroke. For the Aces in lane 2, we have Grace Bach. In lane 3 for Swim Ottawa, we have Rowan LeBlanc. For lane 4 St. John Legends, we have Alexandra Campbell. In lane 5, we have the Toronto Swim Club with Esther Sinha. Lane 6 is Halifax Trojans, we have Marnie Bishop. Lane 7, St. John Legends, we have Gil Smith. And in lane 8 for SWAT, we have Victoria Humphrey. Remember, folks, this is a medley, so that's a back, breast, fly, free. Unlike individual medley, which is fly, back, breast, free. It is looking like lanes 4, that is Alexandra Campbell, and I think lane 6, Halifax Trojan, Marnie Bishop are both battling it out for first right now. And it's looking like the Halifax Trojans are pulling up a little bit, and it's looking like the Halifax Trojans will touch in with a time of 1:13.78, followed closely by the St. John Legends with a time of 1:14.46, followed then by Lane 3 Swim Ottawa with a time of 1:17.18. For Lane 1's Swim Ottawa, we have Rowan Duffy in the water. This is for breaststroke. For Lane 2's Aces, we have Angela Levac. For Lane 3's Swim Ottawa, we have Danica Lickery. For Lane 4's St. John Legends, we have Amelia Young. For Lane 5's Toronto Swim Club, we have Poppy Andrews. For Lane 6 Halifax Trojans, we have Yale Bloom. For Lane 7 St. John's Legends, we have Mackenzie Wishart. And for Lane 8 SWAT, we have Justine Surwirajankon. And it's looking like we still have lanes 4 St. John's Legends and the Halifax Trojans leading off, but it is also looking like we have Swim Ottawa pulling up next to the St. John's Legends. Let's see how this last 15 meters comes in. It's looking like Amelia Young is able to hold out on Danica Lickery. For Amelia Young, we have Anna Riddell coming in, and for Danica Lickery, we have Addison Smith. We have St. John's Legends touching in at a time of 2:38.56 with Lane 3's Swim Ottawa with a time of 2:39.10, followed by Lane 6's 2:42.35. That's Halifax Trojans. Now in the water, we have Olwyn Intercap Smith. For the Swim Ottawa, for Lane 2's Aces, we have Macy Larivie. For Lane 3 Swim Ottawa, we have Addison Smith. For Lane 4's St. John Legends, we have Anna Riddell. For Lane 5's Toronto Swim Club, we have Sarah Greenberg. For Lane 6's Halifax Trojans, we have Maya Rasick. For Lane 7's St. John's Legends, we have Ariana Hickton. And for Lane 8 SWAT, we have Haley Potner. And it's looking like St. John's Legends are coming in, touching in here first. That's Anna Riddell touching in with a time of 3:57.8. And now Kaylee Simmons is in the water for her. Then followed by Lane 6 is Halifax Trojans. That was Maya Rasick. Now in the water is Adam McClellan. And for Lane 3, we have the Swim Ottawa. In the water now is Gabby Forster. For Lane 1 Swim Ottawa, we have Caitlin Matthew Dickinson. For Lane 2's Aces, we have Shona Cassidy in the water. For Lane 5's Toronto Swim Club, we have Sophie Tigert. For Lane 7's St. John's Legends, we have Emily Wardle. And for Lane 8's SWAT, we have Morgan Lewis. And it is looking like Kaylee Simmons is leaving with a commanding lead, followed then by Lane 6's Halifax Trojans. That's Etta McClellan, followed then by Gabby Forrester. And we have Kaylee Simmons from the St. John Legends touching in with a time of 4:54.80, followed then by Lane 6's Etta McClellan with a time of 4:59.86, followed then by Lane 3's Swim Ottawa with Gabby Forcier with a time of 5:02.56. Followed then by the Toronto Swim Club with Sophie Tigert touching in with a time of 5:02.56.
Now what they have done is combined Heat 1 of the women's 13-14 400 medley relay with Heat 1 of the men's 14-15 400 meter medley relay. So we have yet another combined heat here. It'll be a lot of fun racing to watch. There's been a further update to the schedule. It is in fact simply the men's 14-15 medley relay. The results from the previous heat are not yet official, but we are moving on to the one and only heat of the men's 14 to 15 400-meter medley relay. And they are off. In lane 1 for the Mount Pearl Marlins doing the backstroke is Jim Gia. Lane 2 for Swim Ottawa, Dylan Pantaroto. Lane 3 for the Sackville Waves, Ethan Kershaw. Lane 4 for the Halifax Trojans, Dmitry Popkov. Lane 5 for the Aces, Robert Pop. Lane 6 for the St. John's Legends, James Travers. Lane 7 for the Dartmouth Crusaders, Leon Bautista. It is lane 6, that is Travers getting to the wall first at the 50-meter mark in a 30.4. Very fast opening split there for Travers, and he is keeping the rate up here as he comes back on the second 50. We saw him win the 100-meter backstroke yesterday for this age group, so it makes a lot of sense that Travers is going to give them an early lead here.
Let's go, James!
But between lanes 4 and 3, there's plenty of fast opening splits here. That is lane 3, Kershaw, lane 4, Popkov. Diving in now for the Trojans, taking over is Carter King, a very strong breaststroker of his own right. Diving into lane 1 for the Mount Pearl Marlins, Logan Goss. In lane 2 for Swim Ottawa, Declan Sweetnam. Lane 3 for the Sackville Waves, Ben Levitt. Lane 4 for the Halifax Trojans, Ethan Daniel. Lane 5 for the Aces, Austin Heinbuck. Lane 6, as I had said, for the Legends is Carter King, and in lane 7 for the Crusaders is Brody McPherson. And it is still King for the Legends, getting to the wall first there. A 1:36.69, just over 2 seconds over the rest of the field for the Legends. Here comes King in lane 6, and in lane 4, that's Ethan Daniel. Two swimmers we've seen battle here in these breaststroke events. Diving into lane 6 next for the Legends with the lead is Nathan Wilson, another swimmer we have seen have a great meet already here. But there in lane 4 for the Halifax Trojans is Christopher Nguyen, a fantastic butterflyer, and he is showing it here. Diving into lane 1 for the Mount Pearl Marlins, Owen Carew. In lane 2 for the Swim Ontario is Jason Wen. Lane 3 for the Sackville Waves, Nicholas Matteau. Lane 4 for the Trojans is Christopher Nguyen. In lane 5 for the Aces, Silas Campbell. Lane 6 for the Legends, Nathan Wilson. And in lane 7 for the Dartmouth Crusaders is Aiden Airy. It is lane 4 now with about a half-second lead. That is Christopher Nguyen just overtaking Wilson by about half a second so far here in the fly split. How awesome is this? It looks like it's going to be Christopher Nguyen handing off the lead to his little brother, Benjamin Nguyen, for the Trojans. This is shaping up to be a close finish here, folks, as Nguyen hits the water. That is Benjamin Nguyen, not Christopher, for the Trojans in lane 4. Diving into anchor for the Marlins, over in lane 1 will be James Ryan. In lane 2 for Swim Ottawa will be Alexander Prashukovic. In lane 3 for SWAT is Eugene Legg. Lane 4 for the Halifax Trojans, Benjamin Nguyen. In lane 5 for the Aces, Benjamin Sauce. Lane 6 for the Legends is Matthew Earl. And in lane 7 for the Crusaders is Luke Ellis. Look at lane 5 go. That is Benjamin Sauce for the Aces. But Matthew Earl's not letting him get away. And look up in lane 2. Up in lane 2, that's Alexander Prashukovic. And in lane 7, it's Ellis. But it is lane 5 at the touch. touching first in a 4:13.98. In lane 2, that is not the touch that I saw. It looks like the times might have had a little soft touch action there, but I believe we will have to wait for the board to be updated before I give you the final results. 4:27 looks about right. It is possible that a swimmer accidentally kicked the touchpad there as they were getting out of the pool from their previous split. I believe it was lane 5. That is the Aces touching first at a 4:27.21, followed by the Legends with a 4:27.89 per second, and then a lane 7, the Dartmouth Crusaders with a 4:28.65 for bronze.
Next up, we have event 43. That's women's 400-meter medley relay, heat 1 of 2. It's looking like we're having some technical difficulties with the backstroke start blocks. We're getting that lane 4 start block in the water right now. For our backstroke heat, we have Elena Mercier from lane 1 from SWAT. In lane 2, we have Rocks with Miley Hollingworth. In lane 3 for the Crusaders is Rosalind Tate. From lane 4 from the Truro Centurion is Ava Nettleton. From lane 5, Mount Pearl Marlins is Abby Andrews. From lane 6's Halifax Trojans is Avery Stade. And from lane 7's NCA is Madison Vevers. NCA is Nickel City Aquatics. And it's looking like lane 3, that's the Crusaders taking the lead with a time of 34.98. They have a pretty healthy lead right now, but nothing crazy yet. Lane 3's is Rosalind Tate. She looks like she's in the lead, and it feels like Truro Centurion is pulling up on her with Ava Nettleton. Then it's anybody's game. And let's see who flips in first here. It's looking like lane 5. That's Mount Pearl Marlins. That's Abby Andrew flipped in to first with a time of 1:13.0. Now in the water for lane 1 SWAT, we have Ruby Lee. For the Rocks, we have Isabel Dean. For lane 3's Crusaders, we have Catherine Dawson. For lane 4's Truro Centurion, we have Piper Hickox. For lane 5's Mount Pearl Marlins, we have Claire Comerford. For lane 6's Halifax Trojans, we have Zoe Booty. And for lane 7's Nickeltown, we have Ava St. Martin. And it is looking like lane 4's Truro Centurion with Piper Hickox is taking the lead, but not too far behind her is lane 3's Catherine Dawson with the Crusaders. Then it's looking like from lane 2 is Rocks with Isabella Dean. Piper Hickox from Truro Centurion is touching in for Phoebe Hickox. She touches in with a time of 2:37.27, followed then by lane 3's Crusaders. Catherine Dawson touching in for Sophia Dean. And for lane 2's Rocks, that's Isabel Dean touching in for Emma Lowe. For lane 1 SWAT, we now have Ash Tomlick in the water. For lane 5's Mount Pearl Marlins, we have Ellie Stafford. For lane 6's Halifax Trojans, we have Reese Gatz. And for Nickel City, we have Brooke Harrinan. And it's looking like lane 3's Emma Lowe has pulled ahead like crazy on this fly leg. As you may remember, it was her Centurion in first, and now she is in first by a good 2 body lengths. That is an amazing thing about relays. It can swing so far. And lane 3, Sophia Dean is touching in for Alina McDonald with a time of 3:49.12, followed then by lane 5's Ellie Stafford touching in for Kira Hyde with a time of 3:54.16, followed then by lane 7, that's Halifax, that's Nickel City, that is now Jada Hartley in the water. For Halifax Trojans, lane 6, we have Astrid Monkman. For lane 5's Mount Pearl, we have Kira Hyde. For lane 4's Euro Centurion, we have Autumn Colsty. And for lane 1, SWAT, we have Aline Potvin. That's the one thing I really like about relays is you have such drastic different skill levels with these, and everyone's very fresh, so you can really see large swings.
It leads to very exciting races here in these relay events.
I do remember one very incredible swimmer from Dow Swimming taking in and coming in and beating Acadia by a long shot. Ewan McLean, that's who it was.
Thank you, Adam.
I just love my roommate, Ewan.
Thanks, Adam.
And for lane 3's Crusaders, it looks like Alina McDonald touching in first with a time of 4:55.62. Lane 5, we have Kira Hyde touching in with 4:59.58, followed then by lane 7's Nickel City with Jada Hartley touching in with a time of 5:05.16. Fantastic swimming, Ewan.
Very exciting heat, and up next we have heat 2 of the women's 400-meter medley relay. And the swimmers are off in lane 1 from the Halifax Trojans. We have Clara Derling. In lane 2 from the Dartmouth Crusaders, Aliyah Bloom. Lane 3 and 4 are both Swim Ottawa, but we currently do not have the list of which swimmers are in which lanes in the orders here for Swim Ottawa. We're hoping to get those as this heat continues, and if we get them, I will update you as it happens. In lane 5, however, is the Toronto Swim Club. It is Lily Sheridan leading off. Lane 6 for the Halifax Trojans, Charlotte Evans. In lane 7 for the Aces, Mia Tomic. And in lane 8, also for the Trojans, is Madeline Bakey. But flipping first, it is lane 4, and that is the Swim Ottawa B team, followed closely behind by lane 7, and that is Mia Tomic from the Aces. Mia Tomic, only 14 years old here, swimming in the 15 and over category, but we have seen her have a very strong meet so far, and it makes a lot of sense that she's holding her own here against these much older swimmers. But look at the stroke rate up there in lane 2. That's Aliyah Bloom. We've seen great races out of her tonight as well, and it is continuing here as she may get to the wall first here for the Crusaders, and she does. A 1:07.24 for Bloom. Diving in next for the Halifax Trojans in lane 1 is Juliette Mercier. In lane 2 for the Crusaders is Olivia Jodry, and I have just received the updated sheet with the members of the teams for Swim Ottawa. So diving in for the breaststroke in lane 3 for Swim Ottawa is Claire Bolt, and in lane 4 for Swim Ottawa is Isabel Chumera. In lane 5 for the Toronto Swim Club, Abby Owen. In lane 6 for the Trojans, Julie Nolan McCarthy. In lane 7, Isabel Wilson for the Aces, and in lane 8 for the Trojans, Taryn Donnelly. The backstrokers for Swim Ottawa were Sophie Beauchamp in lane 3 and Gwen Kresge in lane 4. Right now it is lane 4, and that is Swim Ottawa, and that is Isabel Chimera in the breaststroke leg with a lead. But lane 6 is gaining, and that's Julie Nolan McCarthy, and you know how strong she can be in these breaststroke races. We've seen it countless times this weekend, and Nolan McCarthy is making up ground here. Nolan McCarthy is making up ground, but it looks like Chimera will hold her off as it turns over to the butterfly leg, touching first. The time did not pop up there, but touching first was in fact lane 4, handing off to Danielle Moss for Swim Ottawa. Diving in now to lane 1 is Isabel Hussey for the Halifax Trojans. In lane 2, Naira Smith. Naira Smith won the 100 butterfly earlier tonight, so you'll have to imagine she is going to even the odds here for the Crusaders. In lane 3 for Swim Ottawa, Anna Whitaker. Lane 4 for Swim Ottawa, Danielle Moss. In lane 5 for the Trojans, for the Toronto Swim Club rather, Hannah Greenberg. In lane 6 for the Trojans is Aideen McGrath. In lane 7 for the Aces, Emma Jane Fowler. And in lane 7 for the Halifax Trojans is Maya Johnson. It is still Swim Ottawa with the lead, but it is close. Lane 6, the Trojans are about 2.5 seconds behind them. It will undoubtedly come down to the freestyle leg here. And anchoring for Swim Ottawa is Molly Barber, the 50 freestyle champion. So this is going to be a tough lead to overcome here for lane 6's Maria McDougall on the Trojans. But let's see if she can do it. Touching in a 3:31 that looked like in lane 4 for Swim Ottawa, handing it off to Molly Barber, and Molly Barber is flying here, but as is McDougall for the Trojans in lane 6. Diving in next to lane 1 for the Trojans is going to be Allison Redfern. In lane 2 for the Crusaders, Rachel Blackmore. In lane 3 for Swim Ottawa, Isla Pulsifer. In lane 4 for Swim Ottawa, Molly Barber. Lane 5 for the Toronto Swim Club, Kiara Scott. In lane 6 for the Trojans, Mary McDougall. Lane 7 for the Aces, Bailey Ewanchuk. And lane 8 for the Trojans is Katrina Brezovin. It looks like it is still Barber with the lead, but McDougall looking very strong in her own right there, holding right with her. It doesn't look like Barber has really made up much ground, merely maintained the lead, maybe stretched it out a little bit here in this freestyle leg. Great closing anchor legs from both Barber, McDougall, as well as the rest of the field here. But with 5 meters to go, there is no doubt it will be Barber. Touching the wall, it looked like it was about a 4:31 there for her team. Touching in second with a 4:34.25, it is Maria McDougall for the Trojans. And touching third in a 4:39.51 in lane 5, that is the Toronto Swim Club, anchored by Kiara Scott.
Next up, we have event 44 men's 400-meter relay. Heat 1 of 2. This is the 16 and over men's relay. In lane 3, we have the Pictou County Mariners with Nathan Keaton taking off the backstroke leg. For lane 4, we have the Crusaders. It's Jaeger Dwyer. And in lane 5, for the Halifax Trojans, we have Caleb Myers. Looking like a very close race, but it's looking like Pictou County Mariners, then Crusaders, then Halifax Trojans. But once again, this is a 400-meter leg, and we're not even done not even done 50 meters left. Let's see what happens first, Ewan, before we go to conclusions.
Well, at the 50-meter mark, it is lane 3 with the lead.
That is your Pictou County Mariners with Nathan Keaton, followed then by lane 4's Crusaders, Jaeger Dwyer, then with Caleb Myers. It's looking like Nathan Keaton is extending his lead just a little bit, but Jaeger Dwyer is not letting him get too much ground. It looks like Jaeger actually has a faster stroke rate right now. But stroke rate does not necessarily translate into speed, as we well know, Ewan.
That is true. You need the balance between stroke rate and efficiency here, and it looks like lane 3 for Pictou County Mariners has a very efficient stroke.
Touching in now, what time of 1:10:06 with Luke Preston in the water now. For the Crusaders, we have Gabriel Levine in the water, and then for the Halifax Trojans, we have Daniel Sutherland now in the water for the breaststroke leg. This was always the leg I swam, Ewan. It was always sucked. What can I say? Breaststroke, don't do it.
I would not know from personal experience, but I personally would not enjoy swimming 100 breaststroke. Breaststroke is a very tough event. It's a very unique stroke, and it wears down muscles that you don't get to use a lot in other strokes.
And some of those muscles aren't strong enough. Like, we've had a number of swimmers on Dow swimming that have actually pulled their groin muscles due to breaststroke and have to retire early.
It's a very unexpectedly dangerous stroke. You have to do proper training. Always make sure you stretch and warm up before you sprint, folks.
What can we say? Swimming, it's a bad boy sport.
I could not agree with you more, Adam.
And it's looking like the Crusaders, that's Gabriel Levine, has got a monster of a lead on everyone else now. That's why breaststroke's so awesome. It's the bad boy stroke.
Now that
Gabriel
I'll have to
Levine is touching
intervene.
it with a time of 2:31.69. Now in the water for them is Aiden Airy. It's looking like Halifax Trojans. Daniel Sutherland's touching in next with a time of 2:39.68. Now in the water for them is Ryan Hull. And touching in now is Luke Press with a time of 2:44.15. Now in the water is Luke McLean. Relation, no relation?
There is still no relation that I know of, but he's looking like he's very strong here in the butterfly leg.
Butterfly was always my biggest problem. Whenever I was swimming butterfly, it had to be under 25 meters or 50 meters because I can't breathe, and once I start breathing, my stroke dies.
So what you're saying is this 100-meter butterfly leg would be a very tough one for you to swim.
I wouldn't survive, Ewan.
And these swimmers must have your respect then, because they're looking very strong here. Look at lane 5.
I would definitely say this is the second bad boy stroke. In lane 4, it's Aiden Airy. He's got a strong lead still, but it does look like Ryan Hall from the Halifax Trojans has gained a little bit of distance on them. But it's still looking like Aiden Airy's going to touch in first. He's touching in with a time of 3:39.470. Now in the water is Nicholas Wallace. Touching in next is Ryan Hall. Now in the water is with a 3:43.12. Sorry, is Jack Robinson. Finally, we have the Pictou County Mariners in the waters. Luke McLean, he's touching in for our boy Seth Prest. Seth Prest is going in, and his pace was 3:55.05. It's looking like Nicholas Wallace was able to keep the distance on the Halifax Trojans. He's keeping a very nice stroke, very nice and strong, but we can't give up on Jack Robinson. He's got a very good stroke too. It's looking like Nicholas Wallace will touch in with a time of 4:39.33. Well, that was a great swim. Now the Halifax Trojans are going to touch in. It's Jack Robinson touching in with a time of 4:44.75. Now we have our boy Seth Press still in the water, but he's swimming strong. Look at that kick. Fantastic kick right there.
Very strong kick here. The 100 is a sprint, but it is hard to keep the legs going at that rate for that long.
Especially after a long meet like this. This is the third day, going into the fourth day.
These swimmers have swum prelims and finals, so this is the 6th session of racing for these swimmers.
Seth Press touching the time of 5:04.69.
And we have reached our final heat of the night, folks. It is heat 2 of the men's 400-meter medley relay.
I don't know about you guys at home, but if I was there, I would be cheering like a maniac for this last event of the night. It's always the best one to cheer for. Get all of your energy out for this last event. Let's go.
Exactly. You see swimmers on their feet there on the bleachers. Not sure if you guys can catch that on the live stream, but it looks like a lot of the Trojans over there on their feet for what will be a great race here between many teams, very closely seated here on the heat sheets.
Madam Referee.
Take your marks.
In lane 2 for the aces, we have Maxwell Hall Smith. Lane 3 for rock swimming, Logan Milne. In lane 4 for the Crusaders, Oliver DeWood. In lane 5 for the Halifax Trojans, Owen Nicholson. Lane 6 for Swim Ottawa, Michael McCormick. And in lane 7 for the Crusaders is John Earl.
I don't know what this kid's name was, but there was a mill back in Ottawa, where rocks are from, that used to destroy me at breaststroke. I wonder if there's any relation.
Possibly a relation, because he is here for Swim Ottawa, and we've seen him crushing in the breaststroke as well this weekend. And right now in lane 6, it is Michael McCormick with the lead, a 29.5. Very fast opening split there for Michael.
It's looking like a very, very close race still. Mind you, anything can happen in a relay.
Lane 4, Oliver DeWood, future Acadia Axeman, also looking very strong here.
You gotta be when you're lumberjacking all day.
In lane 6, it is Michael McCormick with the lead after the backstroke leg, handing it off to Ewan Von Stratton. Diving into lane 2 for the aces will be Austin Heinbuck. In lane 3 for rock swimming, Louis Lalonde. In lane 4 for the Crusaders, Gleb Pokalukin. In lane 5 for the Trojans, Kalen Bellis. In lane 6, Ewan Von Stratton. And in lane 7 for the Crusaders is John Cluett. Lane 5 with the touch, that is the Trojans, Kalen Bellis. We've seen him already this weekend win both the 50 and the 100 breaststroke. We know he can sprint, and he has gotten a bit of a lead here for the Trojans. But Gleb Pokalukin, always known for his back half of these races, he is keeping even here with Kalen on the back half. Gleb and Kalen very close here. Gleb is right next to Kalen here. They are neck and neck here, folks.
It's looking like your Halifax Trojan is a little bit more smooth through the water.
Trojans with just 3/10 on the touch, and the Trojans will hand off to Hassan Hosni. The Crusaders to Will Myrer. Diving in next for the aces, over in lane 2 will be Luka Tomic. In lane 3 for rock swimming, Ryan 8 Mammer. In lane 4 for the Crusaders, Myrer. Lane 5 for the Trojans, Hosni. In lane 6 for Swim Ottawa is Zachary Pantaroto. And in lane 7 for the Crusaders is Alex Johnson Humble. Lane 4 has the touch there. It is the Crusaders, and that is Will Myrer.
He actually swims with Dow Athletics.
He is a Dalhousie swimmer. He wanted to swim relays at this meet, so he chose to swim with the Crusaders, and he is making it prove that this relay option was worth it. Look at the third leg here on Will Myrer.
Absolutely sending it.
And in lane 4, it is Agaron Ramos, an Acadia swimmer here. Down in Acadia, not every day you see them work together, but look at what can happen when they do, as Will with the hand up to Ramos, and he is flying here.
He is sending, look at the wake in the water after him.
The absolute wave here that Ramos is leaving.
Kicking like a madman.
Diving into lane 2 for the aces, Robert Pop. In lane 3 for rock swimming, Olivier Risk. Lane 4 for the Crusaders is Agaron Ramos. Lane 5 for the Trojans, Zachary Marquez. Lane 6 for Swim Ottawa, Callum McGregor. And in lane 7 for the Crusaders is Brandon Puttick.
It's looking like Ramos is still well in the lead.
Lengthening the Crusaders' lead here, very strong. Agaron known as a freestyle sprinter, and he is showing it here. And look at lane 6 gaining on the Trojans. That is Callum McGregor for Swim Ottawa.
Who's gonna get second?
It looks like Ramos gets to touch a 4:05.57, very fast time. Second, is going to be Marquez for the Trojans in lane 5 with a 4:10.51, and in lane 6 a 4:11.29. Swim Ottawa, that is Kellen McGregor on the anchor leg, will get them bronze.
These were some incredibly fast swims today, Ewan.
Very fast swims today. We only have one session left. Terrific relays, terrific individual events. Fast swims all around, Adam.
Incredibly fast swims.
We have 1 day of racing left here at the Dalplex. On Wednesday, they will be heading out for the open water event, but this is the penultimate day of racing here at the Dalplex.
Yes, me and Ewan would like to thank you guys for watching with us of the 2023 Ken Dunn East Coast Champs. This is the third final. The times on the board are not official. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you tomorrow, and we would like to thank everyone that has helped out with this meet. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.